I'm Wyatt Reeves with Black Earth Angling Company. Today I'm going to be tying up the Rainbow Warrior, so sit back, grab your favorite ale, and tie along with us. So I'm using a size 16 emerger hook. Any hook will do. I'm going to start up a nice little thread base all the way to the point of the hook. I'm going to snip off that tag end. I'm going to take my pheasant tail. I'm going to grab about 6 to 8 swords, and I'm going to use that to tie in. I like my swords to be about the length of the hook gap. You can go a little bit shorter, but generally the size of the hook gap is pretty good. I'm going to do a couple pinch wraps in to kind of secure that. If you find that your swords do kind of hang off the shank of the hook, after you do your pinch wraps, you can kind of manipulate them up on top of the shank. I'm going to tie in to about the start of the bend of the hook, and I'm going to wrap back. I'm just going to wrap those fibers in just to create a nice even body, and I'm just going to pull those swords off. You don't really need to use your scissors. You can just give it a little yank and it should give you a nice even tear. For the tinsel, I'm using tinsel in the color Opal in size medium. Large actually works as well for this pattern. I'm going to start in this wrap right behind the neck of the bead. And I'm going to wrap all that in all the way to the start of the tail. I'm going to still focus on keeping that nice even body, and I'm going to wrap up behind the neck of the bead. I'm going to do some overlapping wraps with my tinsel. And then I'm going to give it a nice little securing wrap in. I'm going to pull it a little bit to get that tinsel to kind of move in more behind the neck. And then I'm going to build up a thread base for my thorax. And I'm going to actually stop this thread wrap right at the start of the point of the hook. Don't worry if there's any gaps in there because your dubbing will cover that up. I'm using a Scud Dub Light Mix Rainbow. And I'm going to start out with a little bit of a dubbing noodle there. I'd start out, a little goes a long ways. If you use too much, it's really hard to take it off, but it's much easier to add more on. I'm just going to build up my thorax. I like it to be around the size of my tungsten bead. I'm going to end my wrap right at the neck of that bead. Just going to trim off some kind of excess fibers. That Scud Dub likes to be a little bit bushy. I'm going to fold my tinsel over, and I'm going to do some securing wraps right behind that bead. I'm just going to do a couple wraps here. Then I'm going to pull that tinsel back, and I'm actually going to do just a couple more wraps. Then I'm going to cut that tinsel off. And don't really worry if you leave a little tag into that tinsel, it blends right in with that flashback. And then for the Rainbow Warrior, its signature kind of style is a nice exaggerated collar, kind of acts as a hot spot. So I'm just going to do 2 nice whip finishes to build up that collar. Then I'm just going to snip off the remaining thread for my bobbin. Then I'm just going to take my scissors and just clear it up a little bit. Again, that that scud dub is a little bit bushy. So I like to just trim it up a little bit and give it a haircut. There you have it, the Rainbow Warrior.
All right, Wyatt, where'd you hear the Rainbow Warrior?
I heard about the Rainbow Warrior just being around TU. A lot of people in my TU chapter would talk about the Rainbow Warrior, and that's where I found out about Lance Eagan, this competitive fly fisherman who kind of made this pattern. So I decided to give it a go. I tied it up one day, and it took me one day at my first time trying it to have a heyday with it to be like, okay, this is the real deal. This is a good fly. So yeah, it's kind of my go-to nymph. My old go-to nymph used to be a Prince nymph, but now it's the Rainbow Warrior.
Awesome. When do you use it?
Honestly, just like the yellow fox, I use it all year round. I'll trail this behind zebra midge in the wintertime. I'll do this in a dropper rig during the summer months underneath the grasshopper. Really, I mean, it's a great attractor fly.
And any certain way you fish it?
Honestly, like it really depends on the year. Like during the winter months, I'll fish it low. I'll fish it pretty low in the water column. I'll throw some size BB about 4 inches or 8 inches above it. Kind of just flip it through pools. Really, any way that you'd fish a nymph.
Nice. Anything else you want to add about it?
Honestly, it's a super fast tie. It's a super fun tie, and it's a really pretty fly. Yeah. And they're really fun to fish. And yeah, I mean,
any other colors you use or anything like that?
One of my favorite colors actually tied up in right here's the original, but I tie it up with a kind of a granum green thorax, and it's really good around here. If you ever do any rock flipping, and if you look at caddis granums, they have a really bright green greenness to them. So I'll tie it up in kind of a chartreuse thorax right here, and it gives off a really good profile and color.
Excellent. Anything else you want to add?
No, just fish the Rainbow Warrior.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, folks, that does it for this episode of Drinking with Scissors. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with more Drinking with Scissors episodes. Also, do yourself a favor and head on over to blackearthangling.com to see all the awesome things we're up to. Until next time, cheers.